Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of GGRC, the show where I cover several different news items from the past week that I find pretty interesting. But before we get into the news, let's talk about what I've been playing. Now, this week was another week where I've been really busy with a lot of life stuff. You know, I didn't get a lot of time to game. Last weekend I got a bit of time though, and it's finally happened. I've talked about it, you know, the past few weeks that I've been delving into this game quite a bit, loving it. You guys already know what it is. It's Zelda Breath of the Wild on the Switch. So I spent a lot of time last Saturday gathering shrines and getting the last few upgrades and everything, and I said, you know what? I got probably about 30 more shrines, maybe 25 more shrines to find, but I said, you know what? I just need to go for it. I need to find the rest of the memories that you're able to find in the game, so that way you can get the true ending for the game. And then I'm going to go and kill Ganon. And that's what I did. So Saturday I spent a bunch of time gathering shrines, and then, believe it or not, what ended up happening here was really late Saturday night, I gathered a ton of shrines and got a few upgrades and everything, and I was heading in to go and kill Ganon, but I got this feeling of apprehension. I was kind of like, I really want to go in and kill him right now, but it's like 1 in the morning, and I'm not sure if I have the energy right now to like completely focus on a boss fight. So I went to bed, and I was like, okay, first thing Sunday morning, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to take him out, right? So what happens is I fall asleep Saturday night, and I wake up at like 4 in the morning, and I cannot sleep because I'm sitting in bed thinking, as soon as I wake up, I'm gonna go beat this game. I gotta go beat this game. I gotta play Zelda. I gotta finish Breath of the Wild. So I ended up just getting up and going and fighting him because I could not sleep. It was probably about 4:30 or so. I wake up and I'm just like, forget it. I can't go back to sleep. I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna go finish Breath of the Wild. And that is what I did. And I gotta say, like I said, I've been talking about this game a lot the past month, and put about 65 hours into it, close to about that. Got a ton of hearts, filled up my stamina bar, you know, 3 rings and everything. I just really thoroughly enjoyed this game. And I remember a few episodes ago saying that I'm not sure that there's any way I would give this a perfect score having first played it. At the time, I was maybe like 20 hours in. Again, really, really enjoying myself with it, but I couldn't justify giving the game a 10 out of 10 because there were still a few issues with it. You know, frame rate issues here and there, and inventory management was a bit annoying, you know. But it really comes into question how much time I put into this game. You know, should I really be questioning whether it should get a 10 out of 10? I'm not really sure. I'm still pretty solid on my 9 out of 9 or 9 out of 10 rating right now that I was giving it before. And I feel like that's a pretty high score. I think it's well deserving, but I'm almost to the point now where I'm like, I got so used to the inventory management that it didn't become an issue anymore. But is that something I should consider? Should I consider raising the rating because of that? And it's not so much that it wasn't an issue, it's just something that you work around and get used to. But if the inventory was even more fluid, it wouldn't have been something that I brought up in the past. I don't know. These are, you know, this is analyzing that I don't even know is worth thinking about. But all I can say is, rating or not, this game is 100% worth playing. It's a ton of fun. I finished it. I did a lot of stuff in it. And come to find out, with all the articles and videos coming out about it still, apparently there's still a million other things, like secrets and everything, that I haven't found yet. And things that I want to go back in and I want to find the last of the shrines. I definitely need a break from it because I've been putting way too much time into this game over the past month when I should be doing other things. But I definitely want to come back to it and finish and get all the shrines, and I want to find the rest of the armor. And, you know, something else that I was talking about when this game came out was how people were really complaining about the DLC already being announced for it and what it was actually going to promise with the game. But having enjoyed the game so much, I feel like it's going to be worth my time to play through the DLC when it comes out, because they said it's going to be story-based. So, you know, when a game like this affects you that much, that's why I was talking about how the ratings come into question. Like, should I really reconsider? Like, is this game a perfect game to me? I don't know. This is something I'm really going to have to think about, and I do plan to do a separate GGRC sort of this is a good game review type of video for it. Not that everybody already hasn't sang its praises, but I would really like to talk about all of the things that are good about it, but also talk about the things that are not so good about it, because a lot of people giving it a perfect score are not talking about the things that, aren't done well in the game, because there are a few more things that I do want to talk about with it. But regardless, 65 hours in, finally finished it, loved it. It's a game everybody should play. Is it the perfect game? Who knows? To some, yes. To me, I don't think it's perfect, but it might be as close to perfect as you're going to get, because I do not normally put that much time into a single-player game. Multiplayer game that I'm addicted to? Sure, I'll put a couple hundred hours into it. I think Rocket League at this point, I'm at, like 180 hours or something. I'm still playing it from time to time. But a single-player game? It's uncanny for me to actually spend that much time in a single-player game, so I think that's saying a lot about it. Well, anyway, I'm sorry, little diatribe about Zelda there. I can save a lot of that for the next video that I'm going to do that's based solely on that game, but love it. Such a great game. Now, the other game that I did start last week that I haven't gotten back to is Rain World, and because part of this game that really, really intrigued me was the fact that I got into it, played about a half hour, 40 minutes of it, and found out that this game is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be a cute, fun platforming game. Turns out that this is like a super hard survival 2D platformer. I was not expecting this hard of a game. And come to find out this week, the developer of the game actually released a new update for it, which is sort of nerfing some of the game. So I'm almost to the point where I'm like, should I wait on this game like for about a month or so and see where it lies, to see if glitches and any other thing like actually balances the game so that it's playable? And it's not so much that it's not playable, it's just I've been seeing a lot of reviews that are very torn on this game, reviews that are saying it's a 5 out of 10 or a 6 out of 10, giving it a very low score where they're basing it on difficulty alone. So I'm like, maybe this game just really needs some balancing done to it. Maybe it needs a lot more testing done by the community, so that way they can put out more updates to make sure that it's more playable for more people. I really don't know. I'm interested to go in and check it out regardless. Not sure how much time I'm going to spend with it if I get frustrated with it. So definitely something I'm interested in, but I'm kind of walking the fence, or I'm sitting on the fence really, like deciding whether I want to go back into it and put time into it and get frustrated with it and never come back to it again, or wait a month where a lot of these things are balanced and fixed, and then I end up playing it and loving it. So I'm kind of sitting on the fence deciding what I want to do with that. In the meantime, however, there is another game that I picked up, which is another very divisive game that I've noticed is getting kind of really mediocre bad reviews, and that Has Been Heroes on the Switch. This is also available on PS4 and PC and everything. I got it on the Switch because I really like getting physical games as it is for my systems if I can. Now, this game in particular was a GameStop exclusive. Now, that is to say, if you want to pick this up physically, that's the only place that you can get it. Now, it's only $20 though, so when I picked it up, I wasn't sure what to expect. I wasn't super impressed with the trailers and everything, but I did read some early previews where people were saying, it's a roguelike. It kind of reminds me of a cross between Binding of Isaac and Darkest Dungeon, which is another game I haven't been able to play yet, but it looks super intriguing to me. And because of that, I said, you know what? I'm just going to take the chance. I'm going to go in on this. $20. Well, I mean, what's $20 for like a physical version of this game? And I have to say, considering the reviews and previews that I read for this game, saying that it's not that great, it's not balanced, it's too hard, that kind of thing. I mean, roguelikes are supposed to be pretty difficult. I'm actually having quite a bit of fun with this, given I've only put in, I would say 2 hours or so into it. But what's cool about it is that it feels like the kind of game that you can go on the internet, look up tips, and find out different things from different people, what they did to, take out different bosses and everything. And you're like, oh, okay, I get it. And the more you play it, the more you understand the way the game works. They also put in another brilliant thing where, a lot of roguelikes, when they have items, it's really hard to keep track of all the items you pick up and what they do and everything. If you pause the game at any moment when you see that there's an item that's dropped from a chest or whatever else, you can actually pause the game, go to the menu, see all the unlocks that you have, and if it's something that you have unlocked in the past and used in the past and you forget what it is, you can go to this unlock menu and it tells you exactly what the stats are for it, what it raises, what it decreases, if that's the case. And it's really, really helpful because you're like, okay, this should go on my rogue because this is going to benefit her the most, or this should go on the swordsman because it's going to benefit him the most, you know? And I think that was a really smart idea. But basically what happens in this is you get 3 characters, and what you're doing is you are basically navigating a path. If everybody remembers Super Mario World, how you had a map that you moved and traversed along, that's sort of what's going on here, is that there's a tiny little map and you're using your directional controller or whatever to pick which way you want to go, and then off you go that way, and depending on what is on that circle, that's what you're doing next. So when you visit the circle, like I said, think of a Super Mario World, or in terms of a board game, think of it moving your piece to the next area. But when you go there, it gives you an idea before you even go there what's going to happen. So there might be a chest, and you go there and you open the chest and see what item it is you're going to get, or maybe it's a battle, and so you go there and do the battle. Now the interesting part about this is that you can only go in a straight line. If you decide to go back the way you came, you actually have to burn a candle, and that's if you want to go back and go a different way. You want to avoid a battle maybe, and go a different way around to get to the boss. But basically that's what you're doing, is you're collecting chests and collecting items and battling skeletons to get yourself to the end where the boss is. Now I have finished the first level of this game, I would say probably 10 times now. But for the life of me, I've gotten very close. For the life of me, have not been able to kill the boss in the second level. I've gotten this close to the point where I had to, destroy one more thing before I could kill him. Once you get there and play it, maybe you'll understand. I'm trying not to spoil anything, but I've gotten that close and I just couldn't do it. But either way, for a game that's had a lot of mediocre reviews and only cost $20 to play on the Switch, I'm actually having a lot of fun with this. I don't understand why reviews more often than not don't count price in the middle of it. If this game was $60, given, I understand. If you want to give it a 5 out of 10 because it's $60 and that's the kind of game it is, I get it. But it's $20. This is a budget title, and for it to be that fun, at least for me, for $20, I feel like I've already got my money's worth, and I'm going to dump a lot more time in it just to learn a lot more of the combat secrets and unlock different things. Because at some point I'm going to beat that second level, and then you're going to be able to unlock new heroes every time you beat that, that second boss or whatever. And then you can keep changing up your heroes and changing up the way you're going to move along the combat. So as long as the combat stays fresh and feels fun and you're unlocking stuff, I feel like this is something that I'm going to keep playing for a little while. So I would recommend checking this out if you're not sold on it for $20 and maybe you have a PC, whatever. I'm sure at some point at GameStop these will go on sale. But like I said, it is available digitally too, so maybe on Steam when it has a Steam sale, get it on there for cheap. But I think it's worth checking out for sure. So going into the news, we have our news item of the week, and this is the kind of the news item that I feel like is the most pertinent to talk about that has happened this week. There wasn't a whole lot of really super interesting. I mean, there are a couple things we're going to talk about that are definitely interesting, but there wasn't a lot of big news this week. But one of the biggest is that Mad Catz, the company that we all know for making controllers and other such like crazy peripherals for your console, they claimed bankruptcy recently. So this is big news because this company's been around since 1989. And, it's really sad to see them go because they've been around so long and made a lot of like crazy different little things for us to play around with over the years. Up until recently, their big deal was making arcade sticks, and they were making really good arcade sticks. Actually, like I think Tekken and Street Fighter brand arcade sticks that you could pick up. So what went wrong that they had to go bankrupt? Well, what ended up happening is that they backed Rock Band, to put it really bluntly. Now, everybody knows Rock Band, it's the music game where you play along with the songs and everything like that, but they backed the new Rock Band that came out, was it 2015, I think it came out? And everybody was banking on the fact that Rock Band and Guitar Hero were gone for a little while. So, what was it? I think it was only like a good 4-year gap there. They figured like, you know what, we got to get another one out. Let's get it out. I guarantee it's going to sell this year. Probably should have waited another 10 years maybe. I don't know. I'm no analyst here, but, didn't seem like a good move because me personally, I kind of went through my Rock Band and Guitar Hero phase. I bought quite a few of the games and played through them for, a few years there and really, really enjoyed them. But at some point you were just like, okay, I'm done with this. We're done. You got rid of all your plastic instruments and the games and everything, and that was it. At least that's what I did. Maybe you still have your drums laying around or something like that, but mine are gone. I actually gave them to a friend who was going to use them because his broke. So there they are. They're Mad Catz backed Rock Band. It didn't sell very well, and from last I heard, they have like kind of a warehouse full of Rock Band drums and guitars and stuff like that didn't sell. So they kind of backed the wrong horse, and that's what ended up happening to them. And the unfortunate thing, from what I'm reading here, I'm no, like I said, no business guy or anything like that, but they actually claimed Chapter 7 bankruptcy, and what that actually means is that they are not going to be continuing on as a company. I guess you can claim other chapters of bankruptcy, and you can just have a mark against you, on your permanent record or something, your finances, and you can still continue as a company and try to build yourself back up. Mad Catz has decided that they're going to throw in the towel here. They're claiming bankruptcy, Chapter 7 bankruptcy, and they are just going to move on with their lives. Mad Catz is pretty much no more. So at this point, they're going to have all their assets liquidated, sold off, and everything. So while this is really sad, my main question is, who's going to buy the Game Shark brand? Because that is owned by Mad Catz. Will they bring it back? Who knows? I've seen a lot of crazy retro things coming out over the past few years. Wouldn't surprise me if a company bought the Game Shark name and tried to re-release Game Shark stuff. So that would be a lot of fun. But everybody, pour one out for Mad Catz here, because I think it's a sad loss. But, I think it was maybe a bad move to... Well, I shouldn't say maybe. I think it was a bad move going for the whole Rock Band thing, because even when I heard that Rock Band was coming out, I was like, what? Like, why? Why are they doing Rock Band again? Why are they doing Guitar Hero again? It obviously isn't as popular now as it used to be, and I think that evidence is really clear now that we've lost Mad Catz here. So, like I said, sayonara, Mad Catz. Hopefully we'll see you again someday. Of course, it wouldn't be GGRC without your weekly Mass Flop update, right? Let's see what Mass Effect is up to here. Mass Effect Andromeda, to be specific. This is the hot pile of garbage, as people are calling it in the comments here, of a game that was released a few weeks ago. And I guess they've actually gone through measures to update the game. And while some have said, as it says here, they've fixed the eyes of the characters so they don't look so creepy. And while they've fixed a few other things in the game, they do actually have patch notes for this. Others are claiming that it has broken a lot of other things. So are these patches doing more harm than good? I really don't know. I'm not playing the game, obviously, because I'm not much of a Mass Effect fan, as I've mentioned in the past. But it seems weird. I mean, is this game that big of a broken mess that they're still dealing, or rather, when they're dealing with these fixes, they actually think they're fixing things. They're actually breaking other things. It's debatable. The other thing you have to remember when you're taking all this news into account is this internet kerfuffle? Is this hearsay? Are people just saying like, yeah, I found that this broke the game after I updated it, that kind of thing? I really don't know. I'm not sure. The other thing I do know, though, is that recently Brad Shoemaker of Giant Bomb actually put up his review of Mass Effect, and I think that he actually did. He went the smart route where he actually waited to release his review of the game. Most game sites are going to actually release their review the week the game comes out, no matter how big the game is, no matter what's going on with it, because they want to get those clicks on the article and everything. I feel like he did the smart thing by really articulating his thoughts on the game, where it came from, where he feels like, the game has gone wrong in its presentation and everything. And it was quite obvious that there was a lot wrong, because he actually posted a video within the review of a story piece of the game where characters, like, it was almost mind-boggling watching the video. I actually sent it to a friend of mine who's a big Mass Effect fan who's playing through the game right now. And the video is just the most broken thing I've ever seen. It looks like something somebody created, in hell somewhere, and then sent it to David Lynch so that way he could, edit it. It was insane. You had characters not talking at the right moment, lips not moving while they were talking, characters just showing up randomly in the sky in like a T pose, and it was it was really weird. And I'm like, man, if this is what he's experiencing, this game really is a pile of hot garbage, which is tough to say, man. I really don't like to say that about people's work, but man, like, how did that happen? What is going on behind the code of that game to make it happen? Or, yeah, I really don't know. But I admire him for taking a bit of time to like think out his review, to really get the, what he was thinking out there. Maybe he was waiting for patches to see if they patch the game and it would be okay. I'm really not sure. But the fact that he waited that long and the game is still broken, this is still the way that he feels about it, and more than likely he probably took all that time to finish the game. Because from what I hear on the podcast, he was having a hard time getting through it actually. So. Yeah, I'm not sure what to make of this game myself. Like I said, not a big Mass Effect fan, but watching this from the sidelines, it is really weird. That's all I can say to it, And this might actually be the last time that I talk about this until we get some real news on the game, until it's actually fixed, or until the developer comes out and apologizes. Whatever happens, we'll cover it at that point. So at this point, I guess we can officially say that the game was a mass flop, because Brad's review was a 2 out of 5 star review, and that's not a very favorable review, it goes without saying. So there you go, everybody. I guess Mass Effect is indeed a mass flop. Now, another news item I have for you today here is probably what people thought that the news item of the week would have been here, but I'll tell you why it isn't. Now, Microsoft has released the specs for the Xbox Scorpio. Now, this is really big because there's a lot of companies who don't come out, so they're not so forthcoming with the specs of their console 6 months or 8 months before it releases, right? But Xbox is. They're very confident in this new machine that's coming out. So I didn't read everything. I didn't get super specific of it. I'm not going to go into numbers, but it's basically going to be native 4K. It's going to be a machine that intends to run things at 4K at 60 frames per second. So, and you're going to have the ultimate Blu-ray player in there. They're putting the best of the best of the best in this console, right? But the reason why this news item isn't bigger, because I'm sure a lot of people are thinking like, well, Xbox specs very important, is I can't help but feel like, is this really that important when we don't even know what games are going to be coming out for the console? Now, we know Crackdown 3, we know that Cuphead is eventually coming out for Xbox at some point, right? That's been teased and shown forever. It's still not out. I'm assuming this is going to be the third year in a row where they're showing Cuphead. The game needs to come out already. It's been a while. But besides those two games, what else is on the docket? We know that Scalebound was canceled. They just showed off some Phantom Dust footage of it's not really, I guess it's a remake, it's a remaster, it's an update. It's not really a new game though, so it's like, I guess that's coming out, but where are the exciting games? That's what I keep wondering about. And sure, you're going to have third-party games coming out, but I'm like, people tend to pick a console based on the exclusives. And I think that most households nowadays, I don't know if they pick one console or if they just go for both because they want all the games on it. But at least to me, it's pretty evident why PlayStation is selling so much more than Xbox is right now. And I hear Xbox is doing fine. Like, Microsoft is doing fine with their Xbox sales with the S coming out and everything. And I guess they saw a surge of sales when that came out. But is that trend gonna continue if they show off the Scorpio and they're just like, and here's 2 games that are coming out with it, and don't worry, it's gonna make your Xbox 360 games run faster? Like, yeah, okay. Like, I've been playing my 360 games for over 10 years now, right? So, yeah, I don't know. I'm really torn on this one because I do like the stuff that Microsoft does, but I'm finding not that I own an Xbox or a PS4, but I'm not finding a reason to really want to own an Xbox personally. There was really only a couple games that they've released that I thought were really something special, and one was Sunset Overdrive. I really wanted to check that one out. Played a little bit of it at a friend's house and was definitely like, hey, if I get the console someday, I'll definitely get this game because it looks really cool. But I mean, what else off the top of my head? I know they had what was it called, Rise, the Rome game or whatever. I actually played that on PC, so I didn't need an Xbox for it, so that one was out the window. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really need the backwards compatibility thing. I played all my Xbox 360 games to death, and I ended up, selling those off to other things. So, I digress though. My main point is, what is this console going to offer you in the idea of games? What are we going to get? We're going to get another Halo, of course. We're going to get another Gears of War, of course. But what about unique stuff, Are they just going to show Gears of War running at 60 that looks really, really beautiful? I mean, yeah, it's impressive, and everybody, Gears of War is fun. Everybody likes it, but it's just like, we need new stuff. That's why everybody was really excited when Scalebound came out, because Scalebound looked exciting. It was new. It was a different developer than what you're used to with Microsoft, and it was just like, cool. This looks like it'll be interesting, at least, even if it's not the greatest game. But then that got canceled, so I don't know. Like I said, I'm not finding a lot to really feel confident about the Scorpio here, besides the specs. The specs are impressive. I love the idea that they're going, just all out to make sure that this console is super powerful, and they can claim we have the most powerful console. But in the end, it's not really going to matter if you don't have the game. So please, E3, Microsoft, show us why we want to get a Scorpio. Please show some really cool software, because that's what gamers want. I can, post on the internet all day about how the Scorpio is going to be powerful, but it's like, I don't have Horizon Zero Dawn on Xbox, right? We don't have that. We don't have, well, I was going to say Killzone, but I guess Killzone only had the one game, and I don't think that franchise is all that powerful, or popular. But you know what I'm saying, though. It's my brain right now is not coming to me. But with all the exclusives on Sony, Last of Us, Uncharted, there's so many. And Microsoft, I'm like, okay, Halo's all right, even though I'm not the biggest fan of it. The Gears of War is all right, even though I haven't played one in quite some time. Forza's popular. I love racing games. It's probably another one that I would absolutely want to play on the Xbox systems. But yeah, come on, Microsoft, give us some software, show us the goods, right? And for our last news item of the day, we're talking about April Fools here. Now, last Saturday was April Fool's Day, as everybody knows, because every game developer and every game site tends to do a video or an article or two about, something silly, something that maybe sometimes is a joke, or maybe sometimes you're not so sure. And it turns out that Sega actually had sort of a mix of both here this year. They released a game on Steam. It's called 8-Bit Bayonetta. Now, everybody remembers Bayonetta, the sort of librarian-looking lady with the hair that goes all crazy, and she shoots devils and angels and all that stuff. It's a crazy universe. Don't question it, right? But they released 8-Bit Bayonetta, and while you're playing it, and unlocked achievements, which I guess pointed you to a website on Sega's, or a page on Sega's website that actually had a countdown clock. Now, this countdown clock is set to go off on Tuesday, and no one's sure what it is. The belief is that it's going to be possibly Bayonetta 3 announcement, right? I tend to feel like this might actually be something less than that. Like, this might actually be like, hey, we're releasing Bayonetta 1 and 2 on the Switch, or this is Bayonetta 2 coming to the PC, which is not going to happen, by the way, because Nintendo funded that game. So anybody thinking that's coming to PC, unless Nintendo's finally putting out a PC game, which I find incredibly hard to believe, it's not going to happen. But it could come to the Switch, so that might be fun to play Bayonetta 2 on the Switch, but it's like, I've already played it on the Wii U. I don't know. It was a great game, though. Anybody who hasn't played Bayonetta 2, if you get the chance, check it out. Great game. Even better than the first game. But, again, no one's really sure what this announcement is going to be. I hope it's something exciting. I hope it's something more exciting than just like the game is coming to Switch. Hopefully it is 3. That would be great. We'd love to see a new installment in this game, because 2 was so good. I feel like 3 could just be better. You know what I mean? But there you go, everybody. That is the news for this week on GGRC. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all next week. Same time, same place on GGRC. Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to check out some of the other GGRC episodes. And if you're feeling a little retro, why not jump into the Quake Grave, where you can watch me play through a lot of different custom maps in Quake. Enjoy!